Over 5 years specializing in the South Asian diet and lifestyle, I've identified 5 specific types of South Asians who never reach their fitness goals. And these 5 samosas represent each one of them. I'm going to show you the mistakes that you're unknowingly making. Stick with me on this one as I pinpoint the common traps so you can never get stuck in your cycles of frustration ever again. Samosa number 1. One week they're doing keto, the next they're intermittent fasting, the next week they're not even on a diet. And they're consistently losing the same 4 to 6 pounds over and over again. Always clued up on the latest diet trend, podcast about fat loss, and trying to find the perfect diet without actually dieting and making progress. They'll be telling you about their new diet but spilling out over their jeans, and when they're at the workplace they're like hardcore dieting one way or another and look the same month on month. When the diets they are on become unmotivational, difficult to follow, and just not exciting anymore, they feel like this new thing could get them better results, so they change. This samosa is called the diet hopper. The core problem with the diet hoppers are they never follow anything and get real results. They never go through any hurdle. As soon as they reach the first hurdle, they run in the opposite direction and find a new diet to follow because it's more exciting than solving a problem. Imagine this South Asian in Samosa A running a 110-meter hurdle race. They run to the first hurdle, and instead of jumping over, finding that challenging and landing on their feet, they run in the opposite direction back to the start, and they keep losing that 4 to 6 pounds that they lost over that first run. Regardless of the diet style, there are going to be challenges along the way of a diet. It could be the restrictive nature of a low carb or keto diet that sucks the fun out of everything, leaving you bored and restricted, or it could even be the tracking of your food and being in a calorie deficit, and the challenges that are required with the diet to maintain tracking accurate and consistent with inputting your data. They all require you to do something more than you're currently doing for an extended period of time, and the easy solution to fix diet hoppers is to stick to one diet and see the novelty out of this as your brain wants to find something new. The diet hoppers need to look at skills being made rather than exciting diets. If they fail at a weekend, they don't need a new diet. They need to get better at following the diet at weekends with their current diet. And they often don't need just one diet. They need a home plan, a work plan, a social plan, a travel plan that allows them to diet consistently, all in different environments, so they don't fail in one particular area. But have you ever been that person that it doesn't matter the diet you're on, when you're around other people, you give in so quickly, it's crazy. This is Samosa B. These people are absolutely perfect from dieting from Monday to Friday. They do their steps, they hit their nutrition plans, and they see their scale weight dropping down. But all of a sudden, by the next Monday, gaining all their weight back over the weekend, and they start frustrated, obsessed by the scale, and always looking for the fastest way to lose come Monday again. This Samosa is a people pleaser. Their whole motto is not offending others and not being able to do things differently to everybody else. This one is so prevalent within the South Asian community with the amount of socials and the importance of eating. The community loves to push food to others and the sense of love and belonging providing to whomever they're for. The Samosa B South Asians will hear all of the comments like, oh, you haven't eaten enough, oh, you should have more of this, that you should be able to eat more of this, or why are you on a diet? You're looking too skinny. Why'd you have to leave to do your exercise? Can you not do that tomorrow? And also with a large amount of social shame based on the comments around weight and judgment are pretty much in every area. These people are obsessed by the thinking of other people. They don't want to offend other people. They don't want to create guilt and shame, which we know is large within the community, whether it's from what job you need to go to, what caste you are, what your skin color is, and all of the variables that go into the matrix of like getting people judging you by the comments that they say. These Samosa B South Asians, they just want to blend in and avoid this conflict, this guilt, and this shame. And they do this by accepting and doing everything that the social norms are. Now, social norms are an incredibly useful part of life, but it depends on the group that you're around. I only learned this from when I was in my late 20s, when I found my group of people. I traveled a lot, I'd worked in different countries, and I didn't have a nest of friendship circle around me for such a long time. My friendship circle used to be have Friday nights, have beers, have kebabs, and not do that much exercise. And it was very easy to be the guy when I was with them. And anything other than beers and kebabs, it wasn't seen as normal. Why are we not just chasing women, drinking beers, and having kebabs at the weekend? That was just all weird when I didn't want to do that. Fast forward to now, my circle of fitness people, that's all I have around me. My idea of a weekend at the bar is the barbell and free weight section with my friend Kyle on Saturdays, and then going for a nice latte and breakfast on a Sunday with a walk of the dogs. And it feels weird to be around these people and not do that, or go back to boozing hard at weekends, because we just don't do that as a friendship group. And this is how people pleasers determine what they do at weekend because of the social norms. But it doesn't need to be that way. For people pleasers, there's only 2 strategies that you can use. You stay a people pleaser, pleaser and you change your whole diet and your exercise regime on what everyone else is doing. So you eat super low calories during the week, you do 15,000 steps, you save up all of your cardio calories and you then spend them at the weekend so that you go unnoticed, you don't have to get any comments against you, and you make a very unsustainable diet to keep up with your people pleasing mechanism. And that might give yourself the space of calories to eat like everybody else is or drink at the weekend, but we have a tendency and a habit to eat way more than we should, even if we don't think we are. With the average meal at a restaurant being 1,200 calories just for a main, that's not starters, drinks, desserts, second helpings, and family cooking can actually be a lot more calories than that. And I'm not sure that's a way to live, making yourself suffer just because you cannot say no or you have that people-pleasing mentality. The second option is you have to separate the people to the pleasing and create a gap in the middle. Although this will be hard, we have to look at that gaining 10 pounds will be also hard. If you stay at the same weight now and you don't like the way you look, that'll also be hard. And also changing that people-pleasing will be hard as well, but you'll get some results off the back of it. And it's corny to say, but do you want to be like the people you're around in your social circle? Do they have the exact body, lifestyle, mindset that you want? I mean, a super simple example for me is that if you had an opportunity to get mentoring by a millionaire who got millions by the age of 32, or a binman to be a millionaire, would you take advice for the bin man who earns $10 an hour, or would you take advice from the millionaire that got millions by 32? So if your auntie has type 2 diabetes as she's wanting you to have more food, maybe we shouldn't listen to her all of the time. And therefore, let me give you a game-changing strategy, and it's literally a game called no until the end game. Often we say no sometimes maybe once, and we think we're disciplined, but the second and third no comes and we stray away and start saying yes again. So there's just one game that you have to do to separate the people from the pleasing, is that you have to say no until you get home in the evening. No to second drinks, no to second servings, no to everything, even if it might sound great or even trivial, because you need to increase what we call exposure therapy to be able to separate the gap and say no. You need to make a stand on separating those behaviors. And by going through the whole night, the whole social event, you want to say no to everything outside of a preconceived meal plan, structure, rule, like a one plate rule, for example, or a specific dinner that you've pre-agreed on. That exposure therapy allows you to understand that when you say no all the way till you go to bed, nothing bad happens. Most of the time we predict that we're going to get cast from our family, they're going to have negative things to say, and when we realize that we're surviving, we're okay, nothing bad happened, you can then start building up our resilience and our tolerance to saying this more often, because it isn't about saying no all of the time, but you have to be in control of that yes or that no, because if you can't say no, then every weekend is going to be different for this samosa. Every weekend is going to be up and down with their body weight. And they're never going to be able to control what results they want to get because they're too busy worried about other people's opinion and too worried about getting bad comments or kind of being looked down upon, which can obviously be changing their priority for something that someone else wants versus what they want. Now, Samosa C, the most excitable dieters on the planet. They live off the motivation of diet starts Monday. Everything to perfection, every step hit, until they miss one little thing and they hit the fuck it button. They go on a binging rampage, eating what they want, blocking it from their memory when they step on the scales 3 pounds heavier, and back to the beginning again on some kind of diet that's aggressive. These people suffer with the idea of failure. Their tolerance to not being perfect is often the key frame that makes them struggle. The scale not being down by 1 pound like they expected. This extra bite of food leaves them into disarray. One missed workout means that it's not worth going to the gym at all because they're obsessed by the wheel of fortune of motivation and being absolutely perfect. And that spiral just keeps on going. These Samosa Cs simply have a problem with expectation management. They cannot logically expect realistic amounts of failure needed to get their goal. Within the South Asia community, failure is not celebrated, it's punished. Grades at school is often the starting psychological turning point for most. So the Samosa Cs' brains have worked out that if they get perfect, if they don't miss anything, they cannot be chastised, criticized, or have any negative implication. So they chase this unrealistic element of being perfect. They would never expect in a work scenario to be perfect all the time. They would never expect to be the perfect dad all of the time. But in some way, shape, or form, within something that is in their direct control, which is how much they eat, how much they consume, and how well they follow a plan, they try and chase perfect because then they can't be criticized outside of it. They end up having unrealistic expectations on what's possible. They don't look at life as being life. having a unforeseen circumstance happen doesn't register within Samosa C's brain. They just think, I failed. The problem is that they don't try if they're not 100% certain they can do 100% of it, which is mental, because you don't need to be 100% to get amazing results. You just need to not fuck up loads of time. These people end up not trying when they could have a perfectly reasonable outcome and result. They just hadn't got it that 1% better. So they end up not going in the gym because they can't do 45 minutes. They end up not eating a great diet 3 days of the week because they missed one day out, which then means they always fall back into these patterns of diet starts Monday. The Monday is this perfect slate clean, rewipe, forget what happened last week, and they get this chance to try again. But because they don't change this mindset and they don't view perfection as the wrong part and they see unrealistic expectations, they don't find this embracement of failure as part of the process, they just start running Monday back every single week with no better results. And Samosa C is the all-in, all-out South Asian dieter. The solution to being all-in and all-out as a South Asian dieter can be pretty simple. Expectations need to be that you suck at something and failure needs to happen to be able to learn from it. They need a logic to expand the gap between perfection and fuck it. For example, if I ate over my calories by 200 a day, what happens if I just take 200 tomorrow? That maintains my calories across a week. Or if I miss my steps for the last 2 days, what happens if I add those extra steps to the weekend and make them back up? Or if I really had a bad week and ate loads of shit food, what would be the worst case scenario about adding an extra week to the end of my diet to make it back? All of these avoid the fuck it mentality, because you're not just saying one day and then failure. You're going, life is a week, is a month, is a year in advance. So why don't we look at it from a bigger perspective, or from a 30,000 foot view, and not just see life as a failure because we missed one thing on one day? Because the reality is if whether you eat 200 calories extra on a Monday, if you ate 200 less on a Friday, you would balance out. And therefore, all the heartache that went into that Monday was a failure could have been completely changed for no apparent reason other than looking at from a view up. It's like going up in a lift. The Samosa C's and the all in and all out are looking at it from a ground level. They're just seeing and reacting what's happening on their day to day. Whereas the people who come out of that all or nothing mindset see dieting from the top of the rooftop. They see the things going on below and they make adjustments and changes across a whole week, across 2 blocks or 3 blocks of streets, for example. They're seeing a bigger picture, which allows you to then understand that failure is part of a process, but it doesn't determine the results that you get, because strategies and tactics around where to put food, where to put steps, how to change it across a week is how life is meant to be. I didn't get in shape and get these amazing results wherever they are on the screen by being perfect every day. In fact, I had a binge eating disorder whilst I had this, but I knew how to tactically move my food around to be able to get in amazing shape and still have a binge eating disorder, which I wouldn't recommend. But if I would have had that failure mindset with pictures like this, I would have just finished and would have never done the photo shoot. But I was like, oh shit, I've had 2,000 calories last night. I need to go and not have 2,000 calories over the next 3 days. So I'll take 750 away for 3 days and then I'll be back onto my normal calorie balance in 3 days time. And that's why you can always change it. And this samosa, oh, these guys, Samosa D. Your beet drinking, IV infusing, probiotic swallowing, antibiotics loading, autophagy and intermittent fasting, health food companies' wet dreams. These South Asians are obsessed with healthy, organic, grass-fed, non-GMO marketing, and they fill their cupboards full of the finest foods from Whole Foods, yet look the same in, year out. Everyone sees them as the health nut, but they have as much body fat as everybody else. They're constantly searching for the optimized, healthy, and popular products to help their bodies. Their body is a temple of ingredients, but yet they eat as much and still remain fat. Samosa Ds are the overlooking the basic South Asian. They put 100% effort into the stuff that doesn't matter, and they're obsessed with things they care about rather than focusing on how do I get less fat and get in shape more. Rather than focus on how do I get less fat and get in shape more, they miss the biggest and only fat loss protocol, being in a calorie restricted state. You cannot lose fat without this. And instead, they're being led by one of the biggest mistakes called the health halo. The health halo effect is when you believe something is better for your goals or your body because it's branded under the healthy statement. And for those who use the health halo, they also tend to forget about calories in healthy food too. And without knowing that, putting themselves out of fat loss because some of the healthy foods that we enjoy have more calories than unhealthy foods. So they don't follow the deficit rule first before looking at quality of food. Samosa D need to use the priority pyramid to finally get in shape. Their baseline pyramid at the bottom should be a calorie restricted state. The second layer should be protein intake. The third layer should be food quality, sleep and fiber intake. And the fourth layer should be the least least important, which is the supplement, meal timings, any other shit like fasted cardio. That way they can eat their healthy foods and drop fat at the same time. And the final samosa, I could bet you $1 million you know this type of person. Dieters start Monday, and then the next Monday, and then the next Monday, and the Monday after that, and they begin and then do nothing. They say that it's because it's raining, I didn't get my workouts in, or I'll only start my diet in perfect condition. I haven't got the grocery shopping, so I'm going to start next week, or it's slightly a bit of throat cough. I'm just going to not start the diet. We call these the commitment dodgers. They struggle to commit to something because they have zero resilience. We call these people I didn't do it because people. Every excuse underneath the book, they blame their kids, their work, their lack of motivation, whatever it is, it's not their fault. The easiest way to turn yourself from being a commitment dodger and being someone that actually gets results without excuses is that you change the wording from I didn't do it because to I did it despite of. These people have to realize that life goes on regardless. There are always going to be obstacles, and actually real results come from the real situations in life and still doing the damn diet. Nobody's going to save the commitment dodgers, and the only person they are really believing the excuses is themselves. There's always someone that's had it worse and been in a harder situation and made it through and got the results that you're after. So therefore, it doesn't mean it's impossible, it means that it's hard. And that's okay, it's meant to be hard. If it was easy, I wouldn't do a video about the different diet styles of samosas and South Asians that are struggling with dieting, because you already would have got in shape, and that's okay. And if you recognize yourself as one of these samosas and want to transform your body as a South Asian individual, all you have to do is go to the description, use the link to book in with my team, and we can have a chat about how we can get you these amazing results and get rid of these common samosa South Asian dieting mistakes.